So hello and welcome to the post-match press conference following the 2-0 win for Bayern München against Köln. Timo Schulz and Thomas Tuchel, the two head coaches, joining us for this post-match press conference, and we'll be giving their thoughts. But firstly, congratulations to Bayern for the win. It wasn't an undeserved win. They were able to build a lot of pressure, and we were able to keep them at bay for long periods due to a very disciplined and dogged defensive performance. Marvin Schreber had a wonderful game between the sticks, and we did manage to pop up in front of goal in very threatening situations ourselves as well. We've got to take one of the chances, but we didn't do that, and that's why we're leaving empty-handed and going back to Köln. I think he described the game well there. We had a lot of big chances and also conceded a few big chances as well in the opening exchanges of this game. In the first 20 minutes, there were 2 or 3 in the mix, and then late on as well. We almost gave away a big chance ourselves at the end. But we also created a lot of goal-scoring opportunities inside the penalty area and then scored with one from outside the area. But when you talk about concentration levels, it's not always the easiest thing to maintain the highest level at all times. I think it's a case of these things can happen over the course of 90 minutes, but right now our biggest concern is the injury of Kingsley Coman, who was back in the starting lineup for the first time after a long period on the sidelines, and it's a real shame to see him out injured, and that is the overwhelming feeling right now. Question to Thomas Tuchel. How would you rate the performance of Noussair Mazraoui? Have you done or come up with any precise decisions about what you're going to do on Wednesday with your starting lineup? Another question to Kingsley Coman. How much time are you going to spend thinking about the constant muscular injuries? The fact is they are slightly different injuries, but it did look like it was very painful in the TV replays. And the fact is, we've got our final... Well, he came through a game on Tuesday, which was a very intense game as well. And then we were really hoping that he was going to be available on Wednesday, which is why it's such a bitter pill to swallow. We're hoping that Leroy Sané will be back, but we didn't want to take the risk today. Manuel Neuer could have played, but the same applies to him. And the fact is, we're trying to manage the minutes and listen to our physio staff when it comes to the strain we're applying on some of these players. But in this period of the season, when you're normally playing for titles and you've got knockout games in big competitions of the quarterfinals of the Champions League, you want to have the situation where you have alternatives and you have a competitive spirit in the squad as well. But right now, that is really being hindered by the amount of injuries we're having. As for Noussair Mazraoui, I think it's fair to say his last game was a few weeks ago and had a solid performance, but you could see he wasn't quite at his best, and he's had a lot of tough times as well. He's been injured, come back, been injured, been sick, come back, been injured, and that might have played a role today, but it was important to get him a couple of minutes. Right now, our thoughts are that it'll either be Mazraoui or Rafa Guerreiro that play at left back against Arsenal, and we will be making that decision on Tuesday.
Servus Thomas. Du hast beim Kollegen Patrick Wassertier gesagt, das steht noch so ein bisschen in den
Sternen. You talked to my colleague Patrick Wassertier of Sky and said that Leroy Sané and Manuel Neuer would be able to play on Wednesday, so how are you feeling about it? Well, with Manuel Neuer, I think it'll definitely be okay. We didn't want to take the risk today, but I think it's more important to say that he'll be ready for the second leg of the quarterfinals. When it comes to Leroy Sané, it would be silly of me to give a prognosis of any kind. We're going to have to see how things go on Monday and Tuesday, and when it comes to medication and how we're handling his ongoing injury, see whether he is able to play through the plane, and that's how things are looking right now.
Eine Frage an Herrn Schulz, was können Sie trotzdem Positives aus dem Spiel mitnehmen? Und kurze Nachfrage an Herrn Tuchel.
Question to Timo Schulz, what can you take positive from this game? And to Tuchel, is there a diagnosis for Kingsley Coman? And there is no diagnosis for Kingsley Coman, and I know he's gone back to Zebener Straße right now to be checked out. And so I think we were up against an opponent who matched us and put us under a lot of pressure as well, and that we did manage to hold our own and were able to free ourselves up into some very promising attacking moments. And ultimately, we want to be getting wins, we want to get goals, we are ready for the crunch time. And the fact is, we'll have put this game behind us the minute we get onto the flight tonight. So Didi Hamann has said that the injuries in the Bayern squad might have to do with the lack of training. I can't really give any answer to that, but Didi knows everything, I'm sure.
Außen sofort beantworten zu müssen. Vincent Schirpke für die TZ, ja.
Hallo Herr Tuchel, Sie hatten ja heute mit Ihrem Team gegen Köln wieder deutlich mehr Ballbesitz. Gegen Arsenal wird's vermutlich.
So against a Köln side today, you had a lot more possession. Against Arsenal, it might be a little bit difficult. There was a game against Stuttgart as well when you had less possession of the ball, but what does it demand of the team when it comes to their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to having less or more possession of the ball? I don't think you can really compare those types of games, and it's very difficult to come up with an answer that does compare those two situations. Playing against Köln and playing in the quarterfinals, second leg against Arsenal. The fact is, when it comes to a quarterfinal game, there's going to be so many demands made of it. You can't approach the game in one way with counter-attacking or sitting deep, and ultimately we need an extremely good defensive performance like we produced in London. We need phases where we really have the confidence to push forward ourselves and that we can do damage against any opponent and win the ball high up the pitch, even against teams like Arsenal, to give ourselves spells of possession as well. But we also want to have periods of possession where we can recover and catch our breath. But we need a complete performance. If we want to get through on Wednesday, we do need a little bit of luck. We need form on the day. We need the fans behind us. And ultimately, we need the necessary advantages to go our way. So we've talked a lot in recent weeks about the fact that Köln have trouble defending corners. Why are you having so many problems? Timo Schulz saying that ultimately Köln giving away too many corners, and that really is the basis of the problem. These are the types of situations, set-piece opportunities that you can create concrete plans for and have a clear idea of how you want to defend against the ball. The fact is, Guerrero hit the ball well, but we should have closed him out quicker. For Jakob Christensen, this was his first appearance in the starting lineup. What did you make of his performance? So he showed exactly what we expected him out on the pitch today. He had a lot of appearances for North Zealand as well, and with every minute that went by, he got into the game better and better and was able to release pressure at times, win challenges as well, and it was certainly a very good starting position for him, even if it was one that came a bit late in his career. So the situation has changed a little bit at the bottom of the table. Mainz have won, Bochum picked up points. FC don't have their fate in their own hands. The situation might change again next week, he says.
Eine letzte, der Kicker, ja. Zu zaghaft die Meldung, oder? Sprich laut oder warte aufs Mikrofon, ja.
Eine Frage vielleicht noch zu Dayot Upamecano.
So another question to Dayot Upamecano.
Das wäre jetzt beinahe gründlich schief gegangen heute.
It almost went sour at the end of the game. How will you handle the situation, given the fact that in the last couple of weeks he hasn't quite been the most stable player? I hope he understands and feels that he has our full support. We know his qualities. We know of how big his ambition is on a personal level as well. And yes, he's made some big individual errors that have decided games at the highest level. But the fact is, he's got to cut those out, and ultimately there have been a couple of times recently where Dayot Upamecano has had a direct involvement in goals conceded, but that's why he needs more of our support. We need to bring him closer. I know exactly what he's like as a player and a person. I know about his potential and his ambitious nature. There's a chance that he might have to play on Wednesday so that we can secure a really big success for ourselves, and so there's no real time to dwell on those types of mistakes or push the finger into the wound. Instead, it's just about staying strong and giving him our support. Thank you very much for joining us for this post-match press conference. Until next time.